I need to move to Egypt because Egypt is actually making press. And then like a few of the talking heads that want to lay claim that they've been talking about Egypt this whole time or whatever, you can go back to the archives of theglobaldispatch.com since our origins. And you can go to our previous website where we worked on deskofbryan.com, and you can see we've been covering Egypt now for probably 3 years. We've been discussing how this did stem from Christian oppression, and there were protests and rallies that led to Mubarak being exiled and thrown out of office. And, of course, now we've seen it go even worse. Now, what's been interesting this week is because the Obama administration, you have John McCain, Lindsey Graham, and many on the Republican side of the aisle joining the president and supporting the ousting of Mubarak and allowing this democratic election, a fair election as all we can determine. They elected Muslim Brotherhood, a very Islamic group, and that did not go well. The people have been very angry and frustrated. The Christian persecution has been awful. The persecution and violence towards women has been terrible. We had published a story about a survey that talked about 70% of the population thought life was better under Mubarak. So the protests and the rallies to get rid of Morsi were of no surprise. Now, what's been silent in all of this is while the White House has condemned violence, and while the White House has, spoke out against, violence against protesters and all of that, nobody's really said anything about the Christians, because the Christian churches are the ones that are being torched. The Christians are the ones that are having their women and girls raped, and violence has been very focused on this community of Coptic Christians in Egypt. And it took until this week before the White House even made mention of the Christians in that violence. So kudos to the White House for at least catching up to what is apparently going on in Egypt. But I guess that shouldn't surprise us since Lindsey Graham went there and didn't know how bad it was. Right, Bob?
Yeah, he's a pretty observant guy. And but fortunately, there was some positive news coming out about Egypt this week.
Well, and there is, but I want your spin on this, because it is what this does is, to me, this proves the trap of foreign aid, because we stopped our foreign aid, or at least that was the report. Now, the White House has kind of backpedaled of kind of being ambiguous on that. But it does sound like we're going to end our foreign aid. The pressure is there for them to end foreign aid. But as I was discussing this with Bob, the problem is because we've been giving aid this whole time, and the Muslim Brotherhood was in power and we were giving aid. Now the Muslim Brotherhood is not in power and we pull the aid away. Doesn't that actually deepen the impression that we're siding with them and these violent people?
No, you're spot on about that. And all foreign aid it's welfare for countries. And I mean, should we even be involved in this, particularly in a place where they just had a military coup? Isn't that our law? We do have laws.
And I think that's what the move is to stop the aid because of our law and the way it does work, because it is a military coup. But
you have these weapons there. After all the fighting ceases, the weapons will still be there. Who will have them?
Right.
I mean, it's just a very dangerous thing.
And just on that same note, by the way, if you're not following Syria, you need to keep an eye on Syria, because both sides blame the other. America sides with one group, Russia sides with the other group, and who in Syria is using chemical weapons on who, and what's true and what's not true. So we're really trying to dig through the truth on what's really even going on in Syria as well, which we have been a part of the whole time as well. So there you are. You're caught up on the two main things I think that is out there, kind of catching you up on that. You may not have heard of all this. Oh, wait, let me throw in one or two more little quick comments. And by the way, the foreign aid thing happened the same day the Egyptian army arrested Mohammed Badi. Mohammed Badi is basically the, quote, spiritual leader. He's a big figurehead in Muslim Brotherhood. They arrest this guy because, there's violence in the street from Muslim Brotherhood. They capture this guy, and what does the White House do? They condemn the move. So I wonder who we look like we're in bed with. It's the United States and the Muslim Brotherhood. That's who we support in Egypt right now, and that's who those people think we support. So whether you agree with it or not, guess what our administration has done? And the John McCains and Lindsey Grahams and everyone else on the right that continues to support intervention in Egypt, because that's what their people think, is we're on the wrong side of this.
Yeah, and we see the same issue in Syria. They feel like they have to pick sides, and which side is the best side? Well, is there a right side?
We chose the rebels, right? We were supporting the rebels, exactly. Right? Then there's videos of them butchering people, beheading priests, cannibalizing victims. The Russian president calls us out on it, and we still don't backpedal.
And every move that we make you can see that Russia is doing the exact opposite. So I think that adds a special flavor to the whole thing.
Well, they have to be enjoying that aspect of it. All right, we're going to take a very, very quick break. And when we come back, we're going to get to a dengue fever update in Florida. So stay tuned. Come right back to Dispatch Radio.
This is Brandon from Dispatch Radio, and I want to tell you about my friends over at Stout Auto. Now, I don't know about you, but I can't stand car repair shops. I hate hearing about all the things that are wrong with my car. Even if they're true, I just want my oil changed. Now, the only thing worse than car repair is having to take it back again when it breaks down for what I just had done the first time. Now, recently, I had some work done on my mother-in-law's car. Spent a pretty penny, only to have the same thing start all over again. Now, this person may have meant well, and I don't really have any ill will, but I learned a valuable lesson, that I can trust Jody and his team over at Stout Auto. Not only did they fix everything, explain what else needed to be done, they did it in a professional manner with estimates that I could understand. And I left feeling that my daughter, if she took her car in there for an oil change, wouldn't come home with a $600 bill. One trip, one good repair, I didn't have to go back. Now, they've been in business in Clearwater for over 4 years. 18300 US 19 North. It's in Clearwater at 727-216-6622. Now they have a new location that's off Belcher at 1801 Belcher Road, just 1 block north of Ulmerton. Give them a call. That's 727-400-6955. 2 locations, going to do you right, get you in and out. Tell them the Global Dispatch sent you.
You're listening to Dispatch Radio, sponsored by theglobaldispatch.com.